Hello, greetings and welcome back to another session of the course titled Academic Speaking and Presentation Skills. In today's session, we are going to learn a wonderful topic, utilizing effective strategies aiding to presentation. When we speak of this, what are the things that we are going to cover in this topic? First and foremost is selecting appropriate visual aid while presenting. Yes, correct. We do have multiple options. When we speak of visual aids, it's not just PPT, right? We are going to see how many different options that we have, and we are going to learn how to select an appropriate visual aid by learning advantages that each visual aid will provide and the limitations of all of them. Right? We are also going to see strategies to make PPTs more impactful, right? And at the end, we'll have a well-rounded summary. So, without wasting further time, let's start with our today's topic. The very first point is selecting appropriate visual aid. So, now that I have said that yes, it is not just PPT, right? Could you think of any other, visual aid that could help a presenter while giving an oral presentation to catch audience attention maximum with the aid? If not, don't worry. Let's start, right? How many different options do we have? If we know, there are 6 in total, right? There could be more, but these are the most common 6 used at all professional and personal level. So the very first one that we see over here is handouts. Then we have 3mm slides. Then we have boards, flip charts, overhead transparencies, right? We also have PPT, and last but not the least, the physical objects. So yes, there are multiple options. What people think usually is that it is just the PPT that is required, and one needs to understand that apart from this major option, there are various multiple options that are there and which can be used to bring more audience attention and to also stand out of the mass. So how are this used? Let's see the advantages and limitations that these 6 options provide. So first one is handouts, right? Provides details that audience can examine closely. Again, it acts as a takeaway piece and makes connects to the audience directly, and it also feels personal, right? Also extends to the details provided within the presentation. Whereas when we talk about limitations, there are multiple, right? So let's first talk about the advantages that this handouts present, right? Again, one has to be very careful while we are looking at this, different kinds of options that a presenter has, right? You need to understand the other concepts that align with this visual aid. This is called as aid for a reason. Aid is basically helping externally than the presentation. So by no means that we can use this particular visual aids as the only means of communication, right? There are people whom we have seen, right? Even with the most powerful visual aid, that is the PPT, people have used it, or rather I would say malpracticed using while this visual aids. They have started reading from the PPT, they have started just putting words on the PPT, and it is not only that, right? You need to look for the situation, you need to look for the time. Malpractice also in terms of overusing certain technicalities and not using certain things at all. So when we speak of these multiple options, you will have to first gauge whether the situation is appropriate to use this option, whether there are any resources that we have, be it the economic resource, be it the ambience, be it the environment, be it the technical resource, whatever are required. So we have to keep multiple things in mind before choosing which of the 6 options would be more preferable to use while we are delivering our oral presentation. Again, the advantages. As and how we have read the advantages, you have got an idea, right, that this first provides the details that whoever the reader is can examine the details very closely. Why? Because obviously when we have any handout in hand, right, what one person can do is, instead of stressing the eye looking far apart, one can simply read from the handout that is there in hand. So you need to understand that it will have a major impact. Multiple times it happens that also, why does it feels personal and why does it connect? Because as in how there are visitors, there is audience that is coming to the room of the presentation, they are written, their personal names are written on the handouts and then given to them. Again, feels out very personal, right? There are certain details in the handout which are provided apart from, which can extend the presentation. So if you have got any research data, if you have got any external links, if you have got any other sources that you would want to refer the audience regarding the topic that you are going to, right? So it is by no means helping you during the presentation, but however, if any one of your audience is interested, will be able to catch up on the same topic through various other means apart from the presenter. So therefore, multiple things can be used, right? Handouts come out in form of brochure, they come out in form of pamphlets, they come out in form of just pictures, logos, right, and multiple other things. So this is important for us to know that one good option would be handouts. These are the advantages, but however, there are limitations to it. Understanding limitations at the core, we know that, when we speak of handouts, while giving, handouts personally to every individual, we need to know that it is going to be expensive, right? So it definitely cannot be used with large number of audience. Then it also distracts the audience during the presentation. If at all you have mentioned certain details that you are not going to use in your presentation, and if the handouts are given to the audience well in advance, what happens is that instead of listening to the presenter, the handouts will try and gauge their attention, and there is a lot of distraction. So the message that the presenter is trying to present might get distorted. Again, it would be waste of resources if the audience rejects it. Right, nowadays there is a trend that anywhere you would see hand out certain cards and pamphlets even on your scooters while you have parked them out on a street, and there are people who would come across you and they will just hand it over certain kinds of pamphlets to you or different handouts to you. So therefore now because audience is well aware, they might not like it, and also not liking it, more importantly, if they rejects not taking it, right, it would be waste of a lot of resource. So therefore, handouts are again expensive, distraction, as well as waste of resources. So you need to find out where this handout. So if you are going for a reading presentation, right, if you are going for an a group discussion kind of a thing, and if you are having a larger interaction with a smaller group of audience, these handouts can be more effective there. 3mm slides. Now this is highly professional, and the limitations that we have, we need to recognize both of them. Highly professional because yes, it could be used by the students of data sciences, right? This could be used by, what are 3mm slides? These are basically the glass slides. Even those who are from the field of sociology would use this with a kind of a reel, right, where you will require a dark room to observe this. So therefore, though it is very highly professional, it speaks of the current researches, and these are the actual proofs of the researches. So it could involve real-time people and situation and time, right, wherein you are analyzing a lot of details through the actual glass sides. So these are the used as substantiation, these are used as validations, these are used as proofs to whatever an individual is trying to present. So therefore, definitely highly professional and advanced, right? But at the same point of time, it will malfunction. It will not be visible with the naked eye until and unless we have a dark room, right? So again, we have to be very careful with this. Another is that while somebody is observing, right, it is also very time consuming. It will reduce the interaction that you have with the audience. So while somebody is observing the slides that you have passed over, it will take time to reach out to everyone, right? Till then the last audience is sitting, and while if the presenter is continuously speaking, either the audience is going to view the slide or going to listen to the slide. So it will anyway, it doesn't reach out the way it should be. So these are the limitations, right? Interaction will be very formal, and it will make a formal environment, and again it lacks the flexibility of the presentation sequence. So this is 3mm slides, but however wonderful to be used for those who are from the field of biosciences, biotechnologies, right, and various others. Third option that we have is boards and flip charts. Now this we know, right? It's a very traditional means. There are various advantages to boards and flip charts, as well as there are limitations. The first advantage that we have is that it provides, it facilitates interactions and openness. So while somebody has prepared the chart, it shows the sincerity, it shows the dedication. Again, it facilitates interaction because one is using it as an additional means to communicate, right? So however, whoever is going to see it, view it, they are going to mark the details because it will remain, and the words are just there, and then they are gone in the second moment. So you may try engage the audience as much as you can with your words, but however, and visual aids such as board and flip charts definitely will gauge audience attention to the maximum. So therefore it facilitates the interaction and openness, but are also very easy to use. You do not require any technical knowledge to use boards and flip charts. You just have to create multiple charts. Flip charts are basically, one stand with multiple charts over it. There's a clip. The moment you rotate the charts, and there will be different images or presentations that you might have shown through the figures, numbers, drawings, and various other creative means. So therefore it is very easy to use, right? You do not require anything in specific. You can simply show it with the scale, you can show it, you can point things with your hands, and there it goes. So therefore very easy to use. You do not require additional knowledge or means of source, and fits within minimal costing. Again, important, right? Because how much a chart will cost, right? It will cost only within 10 rupees, right? And again, if you want to use multiple things with it, it would be not more than certain amount. So therefore it is very minimal that everyone can afford, right? Every student, every organization who is going with multiple means of presentation will be able to afford the boards and flip charts. But limitation is that it is cumbersome to transport. What does the word cumbersome means? Is very difficult to utilize it. If you are going to prepare it yourselves, you will have to carry those charts, right? And God forbid the weather and environment and the season is not favorable. So then there would be distortion of this charts as well. So therefore it is not only difficult, but it is also very tedious task. Again, if handmade, could seem a little messy or unprofessional, right? When it comes to charts and flip charts and boards, you need to understand that they need to be designed creatively. And if anyways, if you are going to use the technology, then instead of that we have other options. So then there is a limitation. So if handmade things are there, you have to be extremely professional creating those flip charts. Again, they are not reusable, provides an impression of a speaker being unadaptable, right? How they are not reusable? Because definitely the charts are there, right? A lot of knowledge is there, a lot of numbers that you might have put, or maybe pictures that you might have put will be there, relevant, but it would, you will have to keep changing the details as per the time, as per, the contemporary society, and you need to add, you need to subtract certain datas. Charts are basically, handmade, and once on paper, it's there on paper forever. So it becomes very difficult to update these charts, and until and unless you do not use the same content over and over again with multiple audience, there is no means. So anyways, it's very traditional, unadaptable, right? Because there are various other new means that are more easier to use. People may think that you are someone who is of an old school maybe, right? So therefore, boards and flip charts. We have overhead transparencies, right? What are this? Basically, these are like, transparent fold plastic sheets. You require a basic machine to, yes, definitely scan this, but there are various other advantages that this transparencies will, give, and there are also various limitations that we have. So first is are very simple to prepare and use. They are versatile. There's also very versatile use. Versatile use is simple and prepare to use is basic plastic sheet, and you just use coloring pens to, write, to draw, connect, show different charts out, and it's very easy, just like a paper and pen, right? But versatile is basically because you can take this transparent sheets there while you are giving the presentation, right? Instead of already having a content on board, right? You will definitely have versatile use of using this like a lecture, right? So even if you want to make, while you are speaking, you want to make notes, right? This can be used. So therefore, versatile use can be used during the speech to draw, or maybe, to gauge attention, to have clarity, to put down, to note, right? Various other uses are there. It is also very inexpensive and ready to use, right? Inexpensive because what do you require is basic transparent plastic sheet, and definitely every one of us have, and we carry pens, right? So it will not be used with simple ball pen or gel pen. There are required, a basic marker for it, but which are also very handy. So therefore it is there, but limitation, it requires skills using it, right? If one doesn't know how to utilize those transparencies, right, it is going to be a disaster, because instead of, just mentioning things, the person would take time to, what I am trying to imagine this as a transparent sheet, right? While delivering a presentation, I would do is this is point 1, right? If the person does this, then it is going to not only be time consuming but also very distracting. And again, as you can see, right, this is not even legible. So many a times what requires is that you must have good skills of handwriting, you must have good skills of catching up with time, and again good skills of delivery with the same material. So therefore needs document camera or special markers for it. Okay, special markers, as I have already mentioned, you cannot use it with simple ball pen, or not very expensive, but yes, definitely if you do not have any of those, then this wouldn't work. And high risk of equipment failure. So because transparent sheet, and it requires a basic machine to put that sheet which will be reflecting, so it works as a projector kind of a thing, right? So then if that machine itself is not working, equipment is not working, then it would be an equipment failure. And also we need to mark the last limitation, that is, it provides an impression of speaker being unadaptable. Again, because this is one of the traditional, before we had PPTs, before we had computers, before we had this Microsoft taking over, right, these were used. So therefore again, traditional and unadaptable. Okay, the fourth option that we have is physical working models. What are physical working models? Have you ever seen any physical working models, especially when there is science project presentations, right? You will see a lot of students working very hard, especially when there are, even in colleges and youth festivals, there are various tools that are made by mechanical, automobile, right, metallurgy students to, function certain machineries. So therefore even the smallest part and their functioning is shown in the working model. So physical models are definitely used in today's time. These are not the traditional means, but at the same point of time there are advantages and there are limitations that will be a important part. And therefore what are the advantages? Let's look at those first. First, that advantages is that it is very illustrative, right? Instead of just saying it, instead of just showing it on a piece of paper or with an image, rather you can definitely show it working. So therefore it is demonstrative, it is illustrious, and that makes it very impressive, right? Also we need to understand that it is eye catchy and interesting in the part that it will demonstrate the way things will work. So eye catchy, definitely, because if something is happening somewhere in some corner of the room, you would definitely want to see what is happening there, right? And last point is stays as direct proof to validate presenter's idea or theory. So it is the absolute proof that this is functional and this can be possible. So that is not talking in air or not just simply mentioning something, rather proving certain points. So very rational means of presentation. But limitation is that it's very time consuming. You need to actually utilize various materials, objects, there has to be availability of the materials, raw materials. Then you will have to have the skills, required skills to put the things as and how and where it is to be placed, right? And with that skills you will require the time. So maybe somebody is very skilled and will be able to do it, but what if the presentation comes the very next day? Would somebody be able to manage that, right? So it's very time consuming and not cost effective. We always know, right? It's not just consuming, also not cost effective, because we require a lot of material to prepare and time and various other things. So it takes audience interest away from the speaker. While certain product is functioning, many a times what you see is, even if you go for the science project demonstrations, right, you would be seeing that what happens is while presenter is presenting and the judges are going across the tables, you would have seen that they are more interested in just seeing and the visuals that the models will give and the portrayals that the model does, rather than listening to what the presenter is. So it takes away the importance from the presenter towards the working model. And then last is, it requires an ambience and specific environment for its functioning, its working. Many times it is quite possible that it would not function into the general. So you might not have electricity power, or you might not have certain other things that are there. So it will require certain favorable conditions. So not all working models could work without additional aid. So this additional aid itself would require another additional aid if you want to use them. There are various advantages, but again, never forget the limitations of it. Then we have PowerPoint presentation, right? What is PowerPoint presentation? PowerPoint presentation, you already know, right, has various advantages and limitations itself. Right? What are those advantages and limitations? It meets audience expectation as a visual standard. Nowadays, we all know that these are the absolute means to present the data, be it in MNCs, be it in academics, be it in institutes. These are the most important tools that are used as an addition to an oral presentation made by an individual. But it's not just meeting the audience expectation, it's also very professional, right? It enhances the professionalism as well as the credibility of an individual. So instead of just giving oral presentation, if you have something, it will add on to the credibility of an individual. And again, it provides special effects that appeals to the audience. Definitely, things appearing from beyond the transition and animations and every other technical support that PowerPoint presentation gives, it is not given given by any other means of visual aid, and therefore all of these will appeal. Every human is a child, like they say, right? And that is where we need to understand that PowerPoint presentation will make a very good impact, right? And these limitations are important to understand. Can lead to poor delivery if misused, right? How these are misused, there are various ways. We have already discussed few during while I was comparing other visual aids with PowerPoint presentation. You know that these animations, these transitions, what PowerPoint has the potential to give to the presenter, right? And what happens is many a times it is either overused or it is not used at all, and that makes it a poor delivery. It also requires developmental skills, right? Again, yes, definitely it will require a lot of developmental skills, right? If you can code out, if you can design, right, you can bring different variety onto the same screen. So that is important, and it poses technological failure and transportability challenges, right? Again, yes, you will require a pen drive. Again, though made on your own screen, you cannot carry your whole system or PC or laptop, and even if you do, right, you will require, I don't know, the HD wire cables and HDMI and another. So there are various portability changes that you will have to think of. So therefore, high technology failure chances. You will also require electricity for a PowerPoint presentation to run. So if you are going to present into a place where you do not even have the bare minimum, right, it could be a huge problem. So though very technological, though very user friendly, and it can be requiring certain amount of time to be prepared, but not just that, it will also be a huge failure if you do not have the projector to show this presentation, a screen that can enhance the size that your presentation is. And again, as I have spoken, it's time consuming. But again, when we speak of PowerPoint presentation, why this very question, when we have already mentioned it multiple times, and now we know that this itself, where you are reading the question, what is PowerPoint presentation, itself has is a PowerPoint presentation. Though the paradox, right, you need to understand the very basic that PowerPoint presentation is not just simply PPTs. It offers you multiple things, and that is why it is amalgamation and the best tool or visual aid to be used. So first you need to understand that what does PowerPoint presentation offers. It definitely offers text. We can write in this particular PPT. We can definitely use graphics. There are sound effects. There are videos that can be added, right? There are GIFs that can be added. So there is one simple screen where there is stagnant text, where there is the moving GIF, where you can also play sounds, and there could be on the corner a small video that is being played. So these are the things, these are the options. Definitely it would not look out as one good slide, because a lot of things at the same, it would be overusing it. But you need to at least know the power, the potential that PPT has. So therefore the question, what is PowerPoint presentation? Multiple people think that it is just the text and the effects, extra effects that it has, right? Text hai, graphics mein people usually put different images, so it is combination of text and images, and at the maximum there are effects. But we have seen the other topics that we have covered through this particular course itself. We have placed videos inside the PPTs itself, so you do not require any other additional means. Then if you have PPT and if you have put a video on PPT, without even internet you will be able to play. But definitely it requires the speakers and the sounds associated to the system wherever you play this PPT. Everything together catches the attention of the audience, and therefore it is one of the most powerful and most impactful a visual aid that an presenter could use. Then we have effective guidelines for PPT. These are not rules, these are not norms. Understand the word guidelines very carefully. These are the guidelines. Every individual is free, is creative enough, and has a complete license to use PPT the way they want, right? You can make them, very simple as shown over here, just the white background, right? A title and the points below it. There is no image, there is no text and nothing extra. Yes, definitely we have watermarks over here, but you need to understand this, right? It is depending upon an individual to use PPT the way they want. But these guidelines will help you to make the PPT presentation more effective. So you can utilize different colors, as you can see over here. Use design templates, standardized position, colors and styles. Limit the information to the essential. You do not see a lot of sentences. These are not complete finished sentences. These are pointers that will help you to understand how to make a PPT more convenient, right? You will have to limit, you will have to precise, you will have to condense the material that you are using. So therefore whatever an speaker or a presenter says, only the bare minimum has to remain on the screen or on the PPT slides, and the presenter can add the additional data with it later on. So therefore only the essential information is required. Content should be self-evident, right? Again, use colors that contrast or which are decent and shimmering, and not shimmering, right? So decent is basically one which is legible, one which can be seen with the clear naked eye. And again, contrasting is basically looking at the background, you need to see how it can best fit. So what color, right? If this is white and if I use gray color within the same line, right, will it be visible? No, right? So therefore it will be eye straining. So this technology is made for a particular reason. Use it with the best potential that is there. We also have to be very consistent using the effects, transitions and animation if at all we are using it. It's also excessive slides can lose your audience attention. Stay under when we these are the effective guidelines for PPT itself, but especially for text, right? When we are speaking of text that are mentioned on the PPT, stay under 6 words per line, stay under 6 lines per slides. Avoid long sentences. Large font indicates important information, and font size ranges from 18 to 48. So there are various other means, right? Yes, definitely the font style could be changed, but changing font style each line would also be very disturbing, right? It would not make sense. And at the same point of time, if you are highlighting something, please ensure that everything is what do we say, it is centralized, right? Centralized, as well as the size of the font is same, whatever we are using, the color is same. If you are using something different, then it has to have a meaning behind it. So it has to highlight something, it has to give an additional meaning to something. So that's why that particular synchronization is very much required, especially with the text that we used in this PPTs. These are just the guidelines. You can follow them, but highly professional PPTs, we do not put a lot of words. So therefore 6 words and 6 lines are important to follow, right? Be sure that the text contrasts with the background. Fancy fonts are hard to read. All caps is not only hard to read, but is also very unprofessional. It is very it is sounding commanding. It is basically ordering. It is ill-mannered, and therefore all caps should not be used until and unless it is very required. So therefore you have to be careful with that. Avoid abbreviations and acronyms. Limit punctuation marks as well. So this cannot be used. These are the mistakes made with purpose, right? When you see yellow, right, it is definitely not contrasting to the background color white, and therefore it is hard to read at times, right? Fancy fonts, when it is written in this way, right, this still a little bit legible, but doesn't make sense, right? Why there are this pointed things that are there on each, font, or maybe each alphabet. So therefore use decent fonts, and that will give more impact. Apart from that, you need to understand, this is just a random picture taken over here, but designing the PPT. This last PPT that you saw was just in the white background. Now this that you see is basically having contrasting darker color. There is again highlighting. When we are writing down pictures, we are highlighting it with another gray box. That gray box is also given a kind of a border. Then when we say a picture is worth 1,000 words, that saying itself is capitalized. Apart from that, why we are saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words? Because it can give a different effect altogether in a presentation. And therefore over here, though the image is just random, you need to understand the reason why it is placed over here. A complex idea can convey with a single still image, right? Therefore a simple image could reflect a lot of things. So instead of here, if I would be talking about photosynthesis process, right, I would have given a picture, a diagram or something like that would hint photosynthesis process. So therefore you need to understand that the complex of ideas that are there, right, could be explained with simplicity if you put pictures that are there. The size of it will also have, bigger the picture, the bigger will be the impact, right? So that you will need to understand. Again, if there are data, complex data, you can show it with graphs, right? A PPT can have graph, a PPT can have diagrams, a PPT can have pictures, and this particular thing you can insert graphs from Excel to Google Sheet and Google Sheet to PPTs, right? So definitely it is very simple. Again, the design that we had there with golden borders, over here we have used freckle lines around. So the template of PPT can be designed as per individual's choice, right? You can give effects. The effects are given over here in this particular PPT. See, the moment I go back, it will transit from one image to the other, right? This transition, the lines that comes in between itself is a effect, additional effect, right? Transition and animation that can be made. So you need to understand now how to use this, right? Various other PPTs throughout the session has made use of different objects, different font styles, different videos, animations that were given. So you need to understand now what you require for your audience. If you are going with the most popular means, that is the PPT, utilize it with the best effect, and do not either overuse it or do not even keep it very simple. You need to be adaptive. You need to be seeing the purpose of why you are using this and create transition styles, fonts accordingly, right? So therefore this is a additional aid to the presenter. Let's go to the well-rounded summary. What we need to understand over here is basically that it's not just one. We are going to debunk the myth that we had created, right? That whenever it is a presentation that is made, it is only the PPTs that can go with, right? We do have physical models, so whenever there's possibility of creating a physical model, when we can pass it over, when we can demonstrate, right, when the audience is not just seated to one place, you can definitely go with different means as well. So again, you can use handouts, you can use multiple of these at a time as well, right? So a presenter can be ready with the presentation of a PPT, as well as a presenter can also pass a handout while somebody is entering. A presenter can put different varied charts around in the sitting area regarding the same topic that the presenter wants, right? So there can be multiple usage of this visual aids, and it can create an ambience that a presenter requires. But a presenter must be aware about how to utilize them, and in which way one can utilize to gain maximum impact, right? So these are the effective strategies. What summary do we have over here is, first is delivering presentation can be supported by various visual means. So it's not just one, multiple options, and you can use all of them, you can use none of them, you can use them in the correct way that they are. But all you need to know is, the reason why we did advantages and limitations is that you are aware about both the sides of the coin and you utilize it, knowing that you utilize whatever you can best do. So therefore, choosing appropriate visual makes the delivery more impactful, right? If I am going to talk about a certain chemistry effect, or maybe I'm going to talk about how food is poisonous, getting poisonous day by day, right? Instead of, when we have multiple objects, facilities, and if I demonstrate a small task, it will make a different impact. And simply just showing that this is, the food is getting poisonous, and just showing different images of Maggie, or maybe kurkure, or various other things, right? So the demonstration where it would be impactful and where it will not be. So you will have to use it accordingly, right? Use techniques of creating PPT and make it more powerful. We all know that PPT is not just text, as well as the titles. It has audio facilities, it has sound effects, it has video facilities, it has various image facilities. You can show graphs, you can show various designs, you can show create, rather, instead of just showing, you can create multiple templates, you can use animations and various other things. So utilize all of it, and that is why PPTs are called PowerPoint presentation. It itself is very powerful, and you need to make it powerful by utilizing the tools and techniques that are there, rather than just randomly selecting text against the screen. So therefore, that is it. And design the content through pictures, graphs, columns, pointers, etc. As the tips we have already discussed, right? Use animation and transition to give an apt effect. So do not overuse it, right? Every slide there will be an effect. Every slide, there would be a dancing, trembling words that would come up. Then there are shapes that are appearing. Then there is a 3D effect that would be coming, right? All of this is very difficult to handle, and it is unnecessary, going to be distracting towards the audience as well. So you have to be very careful. How do you want to utilize these effects, and keep it to the bare minimum. Utilize it, not to not use them at all. Utilize it, but with the bare minimum. Wherever the effect is necessary and you think that it would bring a larger impact, you can utilize those, and where you think that it won't be that effectful or impactful and it's not necessary, avoid using them, right? So that's it. Be very careful being a presenter. Use this as an additional aid, rather than just simply reading out would be a very bad option. So additional aid is because a presenter uses this visual aids in addition to what the presenter has the thoughts or the ideas to present to the audience orally, right? So with that, these are the pointers. So thank you so much for holding your patience throughout this session, and I hope you have enjoyed it. Hoping to see you all in the next session. Thank you so much.